Every year, thousands upon thousands of Big Brother fans send in their application to try and get on the next season of the show. And thousands more probably sit at home thinking about how fun it would be to play Big Brother. Unfortunately, with only 16 spots available, the majority of these applicants won't make it into the house. But a lucky few do make it through the process. They put on their smiles, they win over those in the casting department, and then they're presented with their key. However, that doesn't mean that they actually wanted to be there. As backwards as it may sound, there have been a handful of players who went through the whole casting process and made it inside the house, but they really rather would have been at home. For the most part, this video will be talking about players who didn't want to be there before the season began, with one or two little exceptions. But the bottom line is that these players actively and genuinely did not want to be in the Big Brother house for the summer, but they did it anyways for one reason or another. So today, we'll be going over it. Here are 6 players who didn't actually want to play Big Brother.
Yeah, I'm really not playing much. I'm kind of just sitting back. Hopefully you guys can vote me home.
Do you really want that?
Bad.
Hey, if you aren't already, consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks. Kicking things off, we have probably the most well-known instance of someone not wanting to play on their season, and that's Tyler Crispen on Big Brother 22. After Tyler's run on Big Brother 20, he felt like a shoo-in for the next returning player season. And sure enough, just 2 seasons later, Tyler got the official invitation for All-Stars 2. However, he didn't actually want to do it. In fact, from what I know, he initially turned down the offer because he didn't want to play again unless Angela was there too. But Angela wasn't having any of that, and she urged him to reconsider and to give it a shot, with or without her there. Eventually, Angela was able to convince him, and Tyler went on the season. However, it quickly became very clear inside the house that this version of Tyler was not the same Tyler from season 20. His love for playing the game had seemingly vanished, and what was left was a person who seemed that he didn't want to be there 95% of the time. Even still though, the 5% of the time that his head was in the game, he would play hard, and it kept him in one of the best positions in the house. However, as the pre-jury phase of the game started to come to a close, the realization that he might actually be stuck in the Big Brother house for the rest of the summer weighed heavily on him. I think he just really wanted to go home and be with Angela. Because of this, in week 5, the final week of the pre-jury, he declared to Bailey and Davon, the 2 nominees, that he was going to talk to the HOH Christmas and ask that he be put on the block in one of their places and evicted from the house. He already wasn't sure if he wanted to play in the beginning, and now, 5 weeks in, he was absolutely sure that he did not want to play. His heart wasn't in it, and he wanted to go home. If you've seen the season though, you know that this isn't quite what ended up happening. Allegedly, the producers basically told Tyler that if he quit the game, they wouldn't give him the $40,000 appearance fee that each All-Star was promised, and the threat of losing all that money seemed to be enough to convince him to stay. And eventually, once his window of going home had passed, it did seem like his head got back into the game. But that doesn't take away from the fact that at numerous times, both before and during the season, he did not want to be there. And for that reason, he's on this list.
And I wanted to catch a second wind and hopefully find the Big Brother love again, but it's not happening.
I see how bad you want to be here. I was gonna ask Christmas if she could use a veto on one of you and put me up.
I don't want to go to jury anyway.
There were times this season where you said, I've had it with this game, I don't really want to play.
Yeah, for sure.
Moving along, I don't think it's a stretch to say that the 2 audience stars of Big Brother 11 were Jordan and Jeff. After the 2 of them collectively won nearly every prize from the season and started a relationship together, they were quickly offered an invitation to play again on a duos-themed season just 2 years later. But Jordan didn't want to play. Like, at all. She had already won her money. She had already done her time. Why would she want to spend an entire summer doing it again? If it was just her being asked to play again, Jordan would have said no. But Jeff was dying to have another chance at the money, and since it was a duo season, he needed Jordan to agree to play again, or he wouldn't get his second chance. So Jeff talked Jordan into it, and the two of them went on to the season. Although I would argue that Jordan was a good sport about it and actually did play throughout the season, she made it blatantly clear that she was only there for Jeff, and that she did not want to come back. Day after day, she would find a way to bring it up. And to be honest, I don't blame her. Unless your head is completely in the zone and you want to be there, then spending your entire summer in a house with no privacy and very little to actually do has got to be so boring. But she did it for Jeff, which was sweet. Go figure, she managed to outlast Jeff once again, and she actually came roughly one veto competition away from winning it all again. But that doesn't take away from the fact that she didn't want to play Big Brother this season to begin with.
Don't even touch me. Can we go ahead and get evicted? Get this over with.
I did it just because Jeff wanted to come back on here.
Because you came back here to give Jeff a chance to win. He didn't. You didn't this year. So
1 week away.
So what's next?
Speaking of Big Brother 13, we have a nearly identical situation. After Brendon and Rachel's romance blossomed in the Big Brother 12 house, they were asked to return for the very next season as a couple. But, similarly to Jordan, Brendon didn't really want to play again. However, Rachel absolutely wanted to play again, and Brendon agreed to go along with her because it would make her happy, and that was seemingly all he wanted. Now, I don't think Brendon necessarily didn't want to be there as much as Jordan didn't want to be there, but it was pretty clear that his reason for playing again was solely for Rachel. This may have even contributed as to why Brendon chose to fall on the sword and use the veto on Rachel instead of himself in week 4. But in all honesty, he probably would have done that regardless of if he wanted to stay or not. Even if he didn't want to be there, his decision to go on with Rachel definitely turned out to be the right one, as Rachel accomplished her goal and she went on to win the season. So, given Brendon's criteria for playing, I guess he got exactly what he wanted for the summer.
So tomorrow I want to win the POV, pull Rachel off. And even if I go out, at least I can go out still trying to protect her one last time.
She is everything to me, and I would do it 1,000 times over.
Up next, I have a little bonus one, and that's Dr. Will in Big Brother 7. The reason I call this one a bonus is because Dr. Will actually used not wanting to be in the game as a strategy to, ironically, get further into the game. Throughout the first bunch of weeks, Dr. Will was constantly complaining to anyone who would listen that he was super bored, he didn't want to be there, and that he better get booted before the jury starts so that he can go home and just do stuff in the real world. Now, in the diary room, Dr. Will relayed to the audience that he was over-exaggerating how miserable he was to the other players so that they would view him as less of a threat to win the game, since he was always claiming that he wanted to go home. But don't get it twisted. Dr. Will was genuinely miserable and bored out of his mind in the All-Star house. And even if he found a way to use that to his advantage, it didn't change the fact that he would have so happily not been there in the first place. There's also a big rumor out there that Dr. Will really only agreed to go on All-Stars so that Mike Boogie, his partner in crime who really wanted to play again, would get the opportunity to do so. So if you want to take that rumor at face value, then the fact of the matter is that Will only agreed to go on the show for Mike Boogie's sake. And then while he was in the house, he constantly whined about not wanting to be there. That's just all a part of the Dr. Will package though.
Part of my strategy I use is complaining a lot. I try to break them down. demoralize them, really show them how miserable it is to be here.
It sucks that that light's on. Bored.
I don't know why Dr. Will complains so much.
If you knew it was going to be this way, then why walk in the door?
Will finds brand new things to complain about on a daily basis.
I'm gonna ask to be removed from this game by you all. If you refuse to kick me out, I will be throwing every competition. I will throw every HOH unless you get together and vote me out.
Yeah, what up,
Dude,
man?
get this. You're not gonna believe it.
No one voted even against me. Everyone voted against Jace.
Rumor started of All-Stars, and I was like, dude, it's All-Stars, and he's like, you've got to get me on. You've got to get me on. And I was like, I can't, dude. I can't get you on. I'm not doing it. And so the producers called me, and they were really aggressive and courting me over and over and over. And I'm like, I'm not doing it.
As you can see, this list is mostly comprising of returning players. But there exists one first-time player that I couldn't help myself from putting on this list. And that's Kenney from Big Brother 26. Kenney is a really interesting example because his stance on whether or not he wanted to be in the Big Brother house changed with the blow of the wind. If things were going his way, then he was down to play. But as soon as the slightest thing didn't go in his favor, he began waving the white flag. Week 1. He's on the block next to Matt, expecting and hoping to get evicted. Week 2, he volunteers himself for the block and to go home, but then he wins the veto, and all of a sudden, he's on top of the world. But then week 3 hits, and not only does he volunteer for the block once more, but then he also suggests that if he won the veto, he wouldn't use it to save himself, but rather Angela. It is so rare for Big Brother to actually show someone saying how much they don't want to be there on the episodes, but Kenney got a whole segment about how he wanted to go home. And that was really funny. The thing with Kenney is that you could see at times that he did actually want to play the game. But those times were few and far between, and when he wasn't in game mode, he was in go home mode. It was clear that Kenney really just missed his family, and that he originally went on the show because his wife was a huge fan and wanted him to go on. But I don't think Kenney actively wanted to play all that much. So for that reason, he's the only one-time player to make this list.
When I met my wife, she was a huge Big Brother fan.
I don't understand Kenney because he says he wants to go home, but he's winning comps.
I woke up this morning and I was good. I felt good. I was happy for you.
I really appreciate it.
And then now I want to go home.
I have this crazy idea that I'm going to win the veto and pull Angela off the block. It will piss off the house. And then there's a good possibility that I go home.
Be honest. Are you relieved you got evicted tonight?
I am very relieved.
And now, lastly, we have the one true example. The only player, to my knowledge, that genuinely did not want to be a player, like at all. And instead, it was kind of forced upon him, was Mike Boogie in Big Brother 14. At this point, Boogie had already played Big Brother twice, with his second time ending with the victory in All-Stars. So he didn't necessarily feel like he had anything left to prove from a player sense. I've heard that he initially turned down appearing on Big Brother 14 in general, but eventually he reconsidered once he realized that he would strictly be a coach for the season. So he agreed to appear on the show, and for the first 3 weeks, he was perfectly content with his role as a coach. But on the night of the 4th eviction, Big Brother introduced a decision for the coaches on if they wanted to enter the game as a player. The thing is, only one of the 4 coaches needed to say yes for all 4 coaches to become players. 3 of the 4 coaches ended up saying yes. But guess who was that one coach that said no? Boogie. Even after being in the house for nearly a month, Boogie still didn't want to play the game. But the decision was made for him, and his cozy title as coach was stripped away. When he first agreed to be on the season, he didn't want to be a player. When he entered the house, he didn't want to be a player. When given the choice to become a player, he didn't want to be a player. At no point during that summer did Mike Boogie want to play the game of Big Brother, but he was thrust into that position anyways. And not even 2 weeks later, he was evicted from the house. Now, not to sympathize too much for Mike Boogie here, but he was actually pretty screwed over, because had he been able to stay as a coach, he would have walked away from the season with $100,000 after his player Ian won. Mike Boogie simply wanted a summer where he could coach some players and hopefully make some money in the process. But instead, he became the one true player that genuinely never wanted to play again. But he had to anyways.
Boogie, if you would like to accept America's offer, please hit the reset button.
No thanks, America. I'm good. I thought I was coming here to coach this summer. I was running this game and about to win $100,000. Next thing you know, I'm hanging on for dear life. I'm not a happy camper right now.
You know what? I have zero desire to discuss game, strategy, alliances. I don't give a...
And there we go. Now, I don't want it to sound like I'm shaming these players for not wanting to play once they're in the house. I do things that I don't want to do all the time. And that's okay. For the most part, these players that I talked about had their own reason for going into the Big Brother house, even if it wasn't their desire to play the game. And they should be able to do that. I just wanted to point out these instances because, well, it's just something about Big Brother to talk about. And that's kind of what I do. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, consider subscribing. I, of course, need to give that extra special shout out to all of my YouTube members and patrons who I assume would want to play Big Brother if they ever found themselves in the house. And, as always, here's a clip for you on your way out.
I hate that Danielle is the HOH this week. I'm certainly not sucking up to this girl that I just learned her name like 3 days ago.
He wants to see my HOH! So win this game, Danielle. Whoop whoop. I miss you. God bless with all of my love.
Not really too cheery this morning.
I will promise you nothing.
Yeah.